having it for an agenda item that we can discuss and then talk about language with the acting CO about that.
If I may,
And
one of, it's difficult to enforce that type of thing, because unless you actually see somebody, you can't just go by somebody making a complaint about seeing somebody else riding on a bike at certain, we aren't the police. And so it's a difficult thing to enforce, and I'm not gonna lie and say that a pedal bike hasn't just about taken me out with a little kid. So we can start maybe an advertising campaign and mentioning things like that. But typically, and it's not a sidewalk, so that's the other thing. A sidewalk would normally not allow bicycles, period. But it is a pedestrian path, and it was made not just a pedestrian, but it was made for active transportation. So bicycles are permitted, e-bikes are permitted. It would be kind of going back on the funders who have approved that funding based on this premise that it's for e-bikes and bicycles and pedestrians, not motorized necessarily.
Just go back on that. One of the bylaws we have regarding smoking, all that is not enforced just because we have no enforcement. Signs, notices that how to approach it. Comments in the newsletter on how bikes should react to pedestrians and dogs and other things. Particularly electric bikes, because they are so fast and they are so cool. So if you build a bylaw and you put up the signs, yeah, there's no cop going to come and chase you around the block for it, but people will be aware of it. And so something like that we should be looking at, I think.
Councillor Reid?
I would be in favor of an education approach versus a bylaw enforcement, because it's going to be really difficult to enforce bylaw. I mean, if we're talking speed, et cetera, like that, then we have to equip the bylaw enforcement officer with that, and that's another expense. That's probably reaching a little bit more too. So I think that would be a little more difficult in the long run. So I think education would be.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? Carried.
The Public Works report that the August-September 2025 Public Works report be received for information.
And I got to move over in a second. Councillor Reid, Councillor Stanbury. Discussion. All in favor? Carried.
The Parks and Rec report that the Parks and Recreation report for August and September 2025 be received for information.
Again, seconder, Councillor Marceau, Councillor Reid. Discussion. Councillor Marceau.
What is MSA?
Sorry?
MSA. Attended an MSA trade show.
That was the last report.
Oh, the next one. I think it's asset management.
MSA.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What did I guessed?
I think it was coded. It's a different name, but it was an asset management.
All in favor? All in favor? Carried.
The check register, that the check register for August and September 2025 be received for information.
Second, Councillor Stanbury, Councillor Reid.
17, the Public Works report.
No, we've stopped.
That's where you asked the MSA question.
And then you were asked the NSA question while we were talking about the arena report, I believe.
Oh, so you missed the arena? No. Oh,
No, I
We
think,
adopted both of those. and
One's
then we
September,
did
one's
the-
August.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're both
the
together.
motion was for August.
Gotcha.
We're on the tech report. Yeah, may I get a mover and a seconder? Did we already do that?
Yes, we did.
We did, okay. Discussion on the check register? Counselor Marcel?
Is Blake read, Jeffrey Blake? Peter Blake,
Yeah, he's on the check register, correct?
Mhm.
he's on it a couple of times.
Go ahead, Counselor Hubanoff. Oh, sorry,
CAO.
CAO.
But thank you. He is the landlord for Public Works building.
Oh, okay, so that's the Public Works building then, okay.
His name's been on there every month.
Yeah, it's just I noticed it this time. How do we want to identify the items? FR Rentals, limited in August 12th by date?
Sorry. CAO Hubanoff?
FR Rentals, is, I was expecting a question, sorry, I can't find it. Oh, yes, Public Works Equipment Maintenance, it was a very long, it was multiple invoices, and it is getting ready for winter, so there was oil changes, and there was.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it's maintenance, it comes out of the Public Works Equipment budget,
Okay,
repairs and maintenance.
can I just carry on?
Thank you, yeah.
Rocky Mountain Phoenix, well, that's for the fire truck, sorry. Got that one.
It actually, if I may.
Yeah.
It's actually for a harness. Some kind of equipment that they needed, not for the fire truck, but I think something from a grant.
Yeah, there's
The
two,
equipment grants.
there's another one.
There's two you're talking about.
Some of them also are inspections, I noticed.
Yeah, one of them,
Reports.
yeah, I think the one was for cooking. Right. Citation Canada, $1,905, some kind of HR consultant.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. It's the HR program we use.
Sorry, it's,
It's the HR program we use, so,
okay.
for employees, we upload all the policies and appropriate bylaws. And that's how we do performance management through the website.
AA gas fitting, where was that work done?
The Civic Center,
This is
the heat pump.
the heat pumps. Gas fitting, yeah, okay. The second one for the fire trucks. Is the $28,000 paid to Urban Systems, is that for the water report that we just received?
Multiple things, so the water
Back to-
report, the dike, phase 1, sewer lagoon. And short, there's two invoices in this month, and I didn't look it up which one, but those are the projects they
Yeah.
work for and they bill.
Okay, so we don't necessarily get a breakdown.
This might be multiple invoices on one, they send multiple at one time, and we just pay them once.
Diligent Canada. Governance,
Where which one now?
Diligent Canada.
Oh, yes, that's
There's no
another thing,
changes.
it's the agenda, website, or the agenda program. And also the website, that's where all the minutes and the forms, that's also included in that.
Are these 1 year charge or one?
Yes,
Annual charges?
yes.
Thank you. I won't ask on the Young Anderson bill.
That's multiple things as well. Some of
Yeah.
that is dike
Big
land
one.
transfer.
That's a good one to know. Like Meridian, one leasing of the equipment, $635 on August 1st.
Yes, it is. I think that's actually, sorry, now I can't remember off the top of my head. I do know this, but it is a monthly charge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's an administration cost.
Don't they do they do
It-
runs?
No,
No.
no. Do you remember Laura what Meridian is? I can't remember all of a sudden, but it is, I can get back to you on that. It is a monthly administration cost.
There's two RBC Visa cards, total of $14,000. Does that seem high?
No.
Is it around that kind of number each month? Am I missing that?
We use the credit card to purchase numerous things, so some things just automatically come out on our Visa card. The fax program, they just automatically come off the Visa, so they'd be paid that way. Depends on what we're buying. If we're buying things, you know, if I buy stuff from Uline that is budgeted, it gets put on the credit card. So it's very variable, you can't.
Mine Visa goes up and down like that as well.
Exactly.
It's just that we're looking at the checks, and we're not really looking at the Visa items. Wonder if it's worth maybe looking at some of the higher numbers and whether there's a different way to handle that, or
Some of those
deal
would
that.
costs for like UBCM.
Yes, so some would be UBCM, and it's all four. There's 4 credit cards. There's one in my name, public, or the Arena. So the Arena credit card is higher in the winter. They buy all their supplies through credit card, or most of them. The candy and the pop and the chips and all that gets bought by the Visa card. The mayor has a card, and now we have reduced. Oh, and the CAO normally gets a credit card, and we have reduced, I think, my credit card limit, and given Public Works a card so that they can buy their own things without coming and being Sylvie hooping off. And yeah, it's just easier to keep track of. So it is many things it could be, but it's most usually things that are on the budget and things that are just day-to-day administration costs.
Yeah, and I agree with that, or I understand that's an operating procedure. It's just that I guess we're reviewing checks for $10 and $12, and we're not reviewing what's happening on the credit card. And I understand that that's a bigger deal, but just how does that get audited? Who controls it?
Yeah, Councillor Marcel is right in a way. It is a little bit counterintuitive if we have like a bunch of subcharges underneath of another charge. However, with that said, I mean, we could be getting into a very long set of pages with this. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not something that we shouldn't be discussing or maybe thinking about doing in the future. But it's just, how big do we want the check register to be? And are we, at what point do we as a council do the oversight of every penny that runs out of the office? And, are we going to be looking at things over a certain threshold? Maybe that's something that we might look at in the future to help get the report down. But maybe that's something that we think about doing in the future.
Funny.
Yeah.
Councillor, you asked about the oversight. So everything gets coded. So right now, when the invoice or the the credit card statement arrives, Ms. Favreau goes through it and codes everything on it, everything still has to have a receipt. It is processed exactly the same way as it would a check or a EFT. So everything gets coded. It's just a matter of that's how it gets entered into VADA. And so that is how this report is spit out. Yeah. So that's the issue. It would be extra steps to provide that information for each statement.
And I can say for the mayor's credit card at UBCM, it was used for car parking at the airport and taxi ride to and from, which the taxi ride to the hotel from the airport was literally $80. So.
If I may, looking at the check register is not just questioning the amount of money that's paid. It gives myself, I feel like I understand some of the work that's going on in the village. We're renting equipment in 3 different places, I think, on this list. And I'm saying, well, maybe we should be buying a piece of equipment if we rent it every other month. Items such as that. Way back when, in the days before computers, I worked in a data center, and actually we did a couple of checks and balances on items such as what we're talking about. resulted in some major criminal charges to the number of employees. And it was by looking at the small items that were being repeated. And so you do get a feel for how what's the village is spending. You see common things. Like urban systems is we spent $54,000, and I think these are 2 months, right? And I know we got a lot of projects going. Man, we spent a lot of money with those guys in the last year. And are we getting detailed, items that we really don't need? Do we really need an engineer to tell us how to grow a pathway down the middle side of the road? I don't know, but that seems to be, it's always on the list. And so maybe, it sounds kind of weird going through all of these items and saying like, well, you spent $600 here, $400 there. But I do, there is a reason.
Councillor Reid?
So I think with the urban systems and stuff, I think they do a certain amount of work and then we pay out things kind of like on a construction project, you would have milestones set and things like that. So that's probably why we see them more often. But I think that we have our hand on this enough that I don't feel the need to jump too far into micromanaging the employees. I think that they should know that we trust them and that they are spending their money wisely. It's taxpayers' money. They're also taxpayers, so they also don't want to see the taxes go up. So,
I like our trust and expect our employees, if I may, to do the proper thing. Not everybody does, and that's why you do audits, and that's why you follow up on things that are too pricey and so forth. So it's just, this is part of our job.
I do think for the check register, that the fact that this was brought to us is it has been something that I think was implemented during our term, right? And since coming, I've really appreciated having it here, being able to have discussions about what's being spent through the village. And further to what Councillor Reid is saying, we do have to exercise a certain level of trust in that people are doing the jobs that they are doing. With that said, is there a better way to do this? Maybe, perhaps. Just even speaking from an accounting perspective, like we generally as an auditor, we don't pay attention to pennies. We are looking at materiality and making sure that things meet our materiality thresholds. Is it significant? But further to Councillor Marcel's point as well, sometimes it can be little things off the bottom that we don't know about. But we can't be involved in checking whether Public Works is buying gas for the vehicle or the mayor's buying, parking for his airport. But that's not really, I don't think, in our purview of what we do. But having this at least is a good start. Do we want to build on this? Maybe, yeah. I think it's worth a discussion. But right now I'm very thankful that we do get what we get.
Yeah.
If I may.
Yep.
If there's a large purchase that's put on a credit card, then perhaps we can parse it out and put it in a report. It would mean extra work. That's the thing. It is, this isn't that hard to create. It's, Ms. Robinson can do it in 5 minutes. But to start parsing, and then, but of course the review. So I have notes on things that I suspect council might ask. Sometimes I've got them and you guys don't ask. So it's extra work for staff to be prepared for the meeting. And it would be extra work to go back and look through RBC and see what might be a big ticket item to see when, like in August, yes, it could be a lot of UBCM registrations. That's all put on a credit card, things like that. And that adds up. So
However, it would not be that hard to grab a statement because you do get a statement every month. That's what it is, what we pay out of. So we could scan a statement, give it to council. It wouldn't be overly onerous. If we want to parse it, sure. But there's nothing, it's pretty easy to scan a statement as well. So, how we do this in the future, whether it means, does council get that statement in the background? Do we ask questions about some of these large items beforehand so that if we want to bring them up at the meeting, we can bring them up? So that way, it's not poor CEO Hubinoff trying to guess what we're going to be asking about. Maybe,
It's two of us actually who do that.
maybe it's more or less like we ask those questions in advance, and if we wanna bring them up and say, what is this at the council meeting? We can still do that, we're still free to do that.
Well, maybe that's the way you do it.
It's just to help save time through our meeting and take a little bit of stress off of our administrative staff.
There's probably different ways to do it. Like I said, I think one of the things is you start looking at things like, I'm just gonna ask this, what is Temple Electric
Mhm.
for $23,000? Which project is that?
That is the heat pumps at the Civic Center.
So we're $23,000 there, we're 22,000 over here. Starts to, you start to get a fix on how much these projects are. But that's one of mine. And the other thing, it's airport parking, but there's also on the news, if you watch it, is $600 glasses of orange juice and those kind of items on those credit cards that start to show the pattern on the individuals. And it's not so much that we worry about those things, but they do start to show up. And without an oversight of some kind, people tend to get a little bolder. That's not accusing anybody in particular, but that's happened over the years in different places.
And that is up to the CFO to bring those things up, because there's controls in place that say they have a travel and expense policy, and it's going against it.
But that's kind of
We have to be able to rely on those controls as well.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
I just had one more that was a fairly hefty one, is the building consultant services for $9,100.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is the roof for the Civic Center, the roof design.
Hmm.
That's the architect.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All in favor? Carried.
The interim report the interim CAO report for August, September 2025, you received for information.
I get a mover and a seconder, Councillor Reid, Councillor Marcel. Discussion. You're a very busy councillor. Or, yeah, I'll get it right. All in favor?
Sorry, I just had this. The water master plan, SPF grant.
That is, if I may,
Yep.
that's the grant that we just applied, that
Yeah.
council approved the other day.
SPF is,
Strategic Priorities Fund.
I hate acronyms.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor? Carried.
The resolution to support the grant for the fire rescue, that Village of Canal Flats Council supports the Village of Canal Flats Fire Rescue's grant application for up to $30,000 to the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund and a volunteer and composite fire department equipment and training, and supports the overall grant management of this project.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Reid, Councillor Stanbury. Discussion. Councillor Reid.
Just thank you to Chief Farrell for keeping an eye on all these grants and keeping training and the equipment moving forward.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? Carried.
Water and sewer user fees for 2026. So the report regarding water and sewer user fees for 2026 we received for information.
And again, mover and a second. Councillor Reid, Councillor Stanbury. Discussion. I'll just say for myself, we talked about it at the last meeting. There's a big shortfall that we have to make up, and we got to start closing little gaps where we can. It's not fun to have to raise rates on anything for any reason, but when we look at the situation that we are faced with, we got to find those little efficiencies, and this is going to be one of them. So for that reason, I'll be voting in favor. Councillor Marcel.
Thank you. It's a jump because it's a lack of a discount. And fairly significant amounts of money being recovered here. I just, are we gonna, these rates will be reviewed again at the budget discussions or not?
Go ahead.
No, they would not be. This is it. Because they're part of the fees and charges bylaw. That's why they've already been approved
Yeah.
for, they only come up through the fees and charges bylaw. And to be honest, if council chooses to keep the rates the same as what was proposed for 2026, we have no amendments to the fees and charges this year, and it won't be brought back to council. So that's it. It would only be in the event of changing fees for water and sewer.
Go ahead.
How
Councilor Marcel.
much subsidization was the public violent or public funds to the water? That's,
It was 39,000, I think, from last, it's the, I didn't include that in this report, but it was in the last report. Was just for water, and I don't know if there was any from sewer. So if I may.
Yeah.
It sort of seems like you're, if the village chooses to increase the fees, it feels like we're increasing the fees, but really, if we're generating enough revenue to be self-sufficient, the general tax should come down to compensate for that, because right now, $40,000 is coming out of general revenue. So basically, people are already paying. So if we could subsidize it with the fees, then that amount that we take will not be coming out of general revenue any longer.
Yeah.
So it's just now more upfront than it has been.
that's, and the water fee should reflect what it runs to water, and we shouldn't be subsidizing it with people's money who are not on the water system. And so that's my concern here, is whether we got 39,000, we're picking up 12. And I realize you can't make that kind of a jump in 1 year, but it's something that we have to keep in mind and see that we get the water carries itself, the sewer carries itself.
Councilor Reid.
And this is a good start.
I think it's important to note that the discount also meant staff reconciliation and everything else. So there's a bit of a savings there, and that staff can spend the time on something else. So we're also saving the wages that we would have been spending on that as well.
So with that, so we have a request for decision on this. And we have option 1, 2, and 3 as noted in the report that's been provided to us. I'm going to motion that we choose option 2, increase the fees per the current schedules, G and H of the fees and charges bylaw 282/2024, which would require no bylaw amendment.
So I would second that motion.
Thank you. Any, all in favor? Or any further discussion? No, all in favor?
And now we have the late item, the acting mayor schedule, that the following councillors be designated to act in the place of the mayor for the periods of time indicated in the event that the mayor is absent or otherwise unable to act, or when the office of mayor is vacant. November 2025, December 2025, and January 2026, Councillor Paul Marcel. February, March, and April 2026, Councillor Patricia Reid. May, June, and July 2026, Councillor Justin Stanberry. August, September, October 2026, Councillor Andrew Whitesell.
Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Marcel, Councillor Reid. Discussion?
The dates work for me.
All in favor? Carried.
And I think the last item, the 2025 UBCM convention report, that the 2025 UBCM convention report prepared by Mayor Doherty be received for information.
And I got a mover and a seconder. Councillor Stanberry, Councillor Medfield. Discussion. All in favor? Carried.
And now we'll convene to in camera, as under section 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who is being considered for a position appointed by the municipality.
Can I get a move or a second? Thank you, Councilor Snavely. All in favor? Okay,